Peyton Manning apologizes to CJ Stroud. Was he too late? Nick Caserio has some interesting things to say about guys trying to really make the team. Plus, speaking of make the team, we have locks to make the team. The guys that I think could make the Texans, and I would bet my life on it. Let's go inside the locker room. The chase for 10K continues.
Yeah, it's the Locker Room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, Locker Room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source. We the pulse of the city too. Landlocked. Got the game in the headlock. Localize every time. Can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top two and we not too. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days. Opinions to give. We got.
All right, it is the Locker Room, number one source for Texans digital content. I'm Landry Locker. You can see me right here throughout the week, multiple times on the reg. If you missed the fight night, kind of a goofy activity on the off day for the Texans, go ahead and check that video out. 7 matchups, MMA style, hypothetically speaking, of course, when it comes to the Texans in the spirit of the very spirited practice that they had the last time we saw them on the field. They'll be back on the field tomorrow at 9. We'll have the live stream for you. Also, chasing that 10,000, man. I think I'm like 8 away from 10,000. See, it was much further away. We've been gaining a lot of momentum during camp. Seth Payne has issued the challenge. He's going head-to-head. Seth had, I think, a couple thousand when he started his channel, and they did some like hip drop video that just completely set stuff off. But we're chasing 10,000. If you aren't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. I'll just confess right off the top. I'm not even gonna lie about it. Watch this. These are my confessions. I don't care a ton about 10K, but I care enough to be looking at it ever so often. So there is that. I don't think that you like throw a party for it or something like that, but I do think it's a big deal, and I also think visually it's a big thing. Appreciate everyone for coming through. I did hear Bobby Slowick on the Chris Long podcast. I thought that was good. Brandon Pimpson asks about that. We'll hit 10K while I'm live. We shall see. That would be great. Chris, 9.9, appreciate you for coming through. Gabriel, shout out to you as well. Night stream, by the way, always at 10:30. We have the practice stream as well, which is going to be going on throughout the year, and then the other content videos as well. I want to get into this Peyton Manning apology to CJ Stroud, and it's interesting how last year there was all the talk around CJ Stroud. I think a lot of it was kind of, I don't even know if it was media driven. I think it was more so aggregator driven. Brady Quinn. I've met Brady Quinn. I don't know Brady Quinn, but I've met Brady Quinn, and it's not like it wasn't like a setting where Brady Quinn was, I just happened to like shake his hand or interview him or something like that. Like it was like a whole weekend type of hangout thing. He actually stayed at he was staying at someone's crib. He was in town for a football camp. So I thought he was a pretty good dude. I know that he's been known to mix it up on Twitter, but he said what he said about the Manning Passing Academy last year, or what he heard people were saying. And it was kind of in the midst of him praising CJ Stroud a little bit. And it was with the S2. And the only reason this comes up now is because Peyton Manning was on the McAfee show on ESPN, and Peyton Manning had this to say. Let's hit 10K, baby. Let's go. 10K, yeah, 100K, yeah. Well, that's what I'm talking about. That's why 10K just ain't nothing. We got to hit even more than that. But this was Peyton Manning talking to Pat McAfee. And I want y'all to tell me if this is a little bit weird. So you have that drama, which, by the way, I think the Quincy Averys of the world kind of blew this up. And I don't think Quincy Avery oftentimes does his clients any favors. But here was what Peyton Manning said to Pat McAfee. And I want to try to make some sense of this. and talk about one of the biggest pain in the ass in Texans history, and whether or not he's a little bit late to this party.
I'm a big fan of Stroud. I got to know him. I coached him at the Pro Bowl this year, Pat. Humble guy, hard worker, super talented, just nice to, my son, nice to all the fans there. I didn't get to know him. He didn't come to our football camp, Pat. He had a team commitment that he honored, and I kind of felt bad. He kind of got criticized for not coming to the camp. NFL people kind of said, hey, you were supposed to go, you didn't go, and I kind of missed that. I probably could have come out and clarified that, hey, he never committed to come. It was all good. So I actually apologized to him recently about kind of the criticism he had to face from NFL teams in his combine interviews. That was ridiculous, but big fan of him. So, yeah, look, I'm all on the Colts bandwagon, but we got to do something about these other teams in the AFC South.
Amen.
So here's my question. First of all, did you apologize recently? Why would you not have clarified that right off the top? That's what's confusing to me. I don't want to say that it was a late apology because he wasn't real clear on that. And I don't want to misquote Peyton Manning, but I think this whole thing is kind of symbolic of what the I don't know if it's laziness. I don't know if it's manipulation or what, but I think there's a lot of aggregators because Dove Kleeman was the one who put this out there, and they magnify stuff, and then people just react to whatever the aggregators say. Like I've seen people, even in radio, that will read what an aggregator says, and then they'll present it as news. And it's unfortunate, but is it really? But then the other part of me asks, is it the aggregator's fault for taking advantage of people being stupid, or is it just the fact that people are being stupid? I don't know. But the discussion was interesting, and it was also in amidst kind of the S2 test, which I never really made a big deal about. I was a Bryce Young guy. If y'all follow me, I was a Bryce Young, Bryce or bust type of guy. I don't hide from that. I'm not going to be right all the time. I'm not going to be wrong all the time, but I was a Bryce or bust guy. So that was the guy that I liked in the draft. And after that, it was whatever D'Amico wants to do. If they don't want to take a quarterback, whatever. But they ended up getting CJ. And thank God that they did. I think we're all happy that happened. But the S2 test thing I always thought was interesting because I didn't know what the hell the test was. I think it's important for quarterbacks to be able to be able to read. I think it's important for quarterbacks to be able to consume information, all that. But I didn't even know what the S2 test was. So that was kind of interesting as well. You heard people reacting to it, and I thought it was weird because the criticism, some people say it got leaked out. My thing is I never knew what the test was. I had no idea what the hell it was. So that's just kind of where I'm at on that. Appreciate y'all for coming through. It is the Locker Room, #1 source for Texans digital content. That was Peyton Manning kind of revisiting some old stuff. Was Peyton late to apologize? I don't know. Should he have cleared that up before? Who knows? I'll be honest. I take any opportunity I can to crap on Peyton Manning because just kind of annoys me. I don't hate Peyton Manning. I just feel like he's gotten to the point where everything that he does, whether it's funny or not, people just laugh at it, and it's kind of getting a little bit. He's creeping up on Kevin Hart territory where it's just too much for me. That's just me. Maybe I'm being a hipster, don't know. But anytime I can get an opportunity to say something about Peyton Manning, I do it. So there's that. That's the old news. Now let's talk about some stuff that's actually going on right now. And that's the other thing. I thought it was weird that the S2 test did try to, after the fact, say that maybe CJ's test wasn't right. They said it before the playoff game last year, which was hilarious. I mean, they had months to say something, and they said it during the playoffs. That was comical. Peyton saying that, okay. But yeah. See, here's my thing, Cajun girl, and shout out to you for being in here. Here's my thing about the that notion, and I hear it a lot. I hear it often. This is the thing. I get on the surface that you're glad they won the game, and they ended up getting the second pick, and they actually tried to trade up to the first to get Bryce, which is what we heard Ryan Poles say. And I do know that they like Bryce the most. But if you knew CJ Stroud was going to be this good, then you should have definitely lost that Colts game. You should have had everyone inactive, which is what the Texans should have done anyways. Now you got lucky because you liked Bryce and then you ended up taking CJ. But if anyone knew CJ was going to be this good, they would have lost this game intentionally. And who the hell knows what the Bears could have gotten for that pick. So I'm kind of with you. It did work out for them. But that's just kind of a, it wasn't like some sort of master plan. If they'd known CJ was this good, they probably would have lost anyways. Nick Caserio, he was on 610. He was on with Sean and Seth, and he had a couple of interesting things to say. I was listening to this on the way to practice the other day. And I've said this many times. I like when Nick is on with Sean and Seth. He has a good dynamic with them. They go back and forth. And I think it's better when they're in person, which was the case this week. They were on the side, and Nick Caserio went over there before practice. And I thought he was really candid about two guys that perhaps fighting for their place on the team, two third-year guys. They're definitely fighting for significant roles. Kenyon Green and Dameon Pierce. And again, this was with Sean and Seth. I think Sean tweeted out the link. I think Seth did as well. But this was Nick Caserio talking about Kenyon Green and where Kenyon Green is in his third season. And you can tell the physical difference when you go to practice. But this is what Caserio had to say about Kenyon Green. And what he said about Dameon Pierce is even more interesting.
Ultimately, how people respond when they're put in adverse situations is a true test of who they are as a human being. So I would say there was a period there was probably really difficult. 2 years, there's been a lot of peaks and valleys, ups and downs. Now I'm not playing football this year. Mm-hmm. All right, what are the things that I actually can control? Well, once I'm healthy enough to start training, attack the training. All right. Then when the off-season program starts, make sure you're prepared for the start of the off-season program, and let's have a great off-season. So I think, and he's done a great job. And he was a young kid when we drafted him. I would say similar, but different. But Brevin Jordan's another example too. We haven't talked much about Brev, but when we drafted Brev was one of the youngest players in the draft, and he went through some ups and downs his rookie year and second year. It's just sometimes it takes a little bit longer for guys to understand the demands of their job, what goes into it. And the reality is you're going to probably have more struggles than you are success, and how you handle that and how you respond to it. But KG's had a great attitude. He understands he's going to have to earn his opportunity with his performance. Everything is earned here. It doesn't matter who you are, where you were drafted. Quite frankly, we don't really care. Ultimately, you're going to be judged on how you perform on the field, and everybody's held to that same standard.
Now, will Kenyon Green be one of locks? Guys that are locks to make the team. Stay tuned, and we'll go through that. And I'll make it clear what a lock is at first. This is not a prediction. I'm not predicting the 53. This is what I 100% bet on them making the team. Zero doubts. In other words, spoiler alert, I'm not saying that with Desmond King, because last year Desmond King didn't make the team. There's going to be guys perhaps on the streets that you could be upgrades over Desmond King. I'm not going to do it with a fringe D lineman. 100% locks. There's only 34. There's only 34 100% locks, and then there's a lot of competition, and stranger things have happened. But these are 100% locks. Will Kenyon Green be on that list? You got to stay tuned here in the locker room, number one source for Texans digital content. I think we're 3 away from 10,000. So, yeah, this race with Seth. Let's see if Seth's gotten there. Yeah, he brought this up. So, damn you, Seth. He did send the link though. Yeah, he's right there, 9992. So the race goes on 9997. So hopefully we get there before the end of this. So that was Caserio on Kenyon Green. We'll get to the Dameon Pierce comments in a sec. Brandon says Cowherd would apologize, then forget and do the same segment 30 minutes later. Kind of relate to that, but Colin's like a radio pro. But Patty says she's late. Well, you got to go back and rewind then. and watched that. How was my day? My day was fantastic. Had a little bit of an off day, but did do the fight night. If y'all want to go check that out, the main event, Will Anderson versus Daniil Hunter. Find out who Cody Stutz and I said would win in a fight between them, who would win in a fight between Kaimi Fairbairn and Townsend, who would win in the Stingley Schultz fight, who would win in the Jimmy Ward Diggs fight. Check that out. There were a lot of disagreements on that. Yeah, the lives are always at 10:30. They're also after practice, and then the normal videos are throughout the day. So that's how we do it. Oh, we're getting burners now. Okay, 10,000, baby. Hey, 10,000. Boom, got it. There you go. What a lovely sight that is. What an absolute lovely sight that is. Thank you very much. I won the race. The race was won unless Seth got there. Nah, race won. I'm gonna tweet it out right now. F you, Seth. No, they haven't put it out. Just kidding. Seth's my boy. Yeah, they haven't put it up, but it is 10. We got it. Boom. Hit it. Appreciate everyone for that's a big one. That's a big one. Now it's on to 11, then 12, then 20. Who knows? Yeah, we're at 10K. Shout out to everyone for coming through. We're gonna have some gifts and stuff coming up in August, September. We'll have some giveaways for you as this thing continues and as the thing. If you're one of the first few, very very much appreciated for riding, because you went through the Lovie Smith season. That was when we started. You couldn't even give away tickets to go to the damn football games, and did a video every day during the Lovie Smith days. And that just kind of got into the CJ days. We kind of got lucky there because I did not anticipate that it was going to get much better. So that's where we are. Appreciate folks for coming through. Really appreciate it for sure. Be sure to like the video as well. Eating Whataburger. Tyler, what did you get? Number 2, number 5? What we get? We got 10K, but what do we get from Whataburger? Let's hear from Caserio on Dameon Pierce. This was with Seth and Sean on 610. This was interesting. We've heard Dameon Pierce and just how insightful he was amidst the disappointing season, but this was Nick Caserio talking about perhaps it's even more impressive because perhaps there was even more to the story than we knew when it came to the Texans' then second year, now third year running back.
Honestly, and we've talked about this on a show a little bit, just having a clear headspace and kind of clearing your mind and kind of starting from scratch and refreshing. He trained very hard. He had a good attitude. He got himself in good condition. I really don't want to get into the depths and the detail, but I would say he was dealing with more than maybe people realize. And sometimes that affects maybe how you perform and play because you have a lot of things going on. And there were times where he probably pressed and he put maybe some undue pressure on himself. So when you take it holistically, everything into consideration, there were some ups and downs. And the way he handled it, honestly, was very mature. So he's in a lot better space. He's had a really good spring. He's popped some runs here in practice, and you're starting to see some of the things that you saw, that we saw at Florida, that you saw as a rookie. And he had some good plays last year. I think the good plays sometimes get drowned out by some of the negative plays. And then everybody those get sort of accentuated a little bit maybe more than they should. So, again, great kid, great attitude. He's going to help our football team, and we're glad he's here.
Yeah, and he might have been going through more than we knew, is what he said. So maybe it was something personal. I know DP had a personal day last year, so you never know. And I just thought it was really impressive. I go back to that Cleveland game where he talked to Sean Pendergast, and I think it was Clint Sterner, and he talked about how valuable this season was, this season being last season, and how much it was making him a better player. And I thought that was cool because it's easy to reflect back. We all do it, where maybe in the moment you find yourself not really having perspective, and then as time goes on, you gain that perspective. But for a young man, as young as Dameon Pierce is, to have that type of perspective and grasp on things as things aren't going his way after they went his way the previous year so early on, I thought that was so impressive. And if he hadn't had that perspective, I wouldn't have blamed him for that either. Just like Deontay Foreman. Rest in peace to Derek Day Foreman. He didn't have it, and I didn't really hold it against him, first of all, because I knew his pops. Rest in peace. A little bit of a knucklehead. But also just because you're in your early 20s. So a lot of times, most of the time when you're in the NFL and you're that young, it comes easy to you, and then as soon as that happens, it's hard to figure out. Dameon Pierce had that head on his shoulders. Number 6, bacon avocado burger, side of chicken tenders with gravy, large fry, had lemonade at the house. Good Lord, my man. I'm not judging. That's a similar issue. I don't know about the avocado at the Whataburger though, man. I don't know about all of that. I don't think anyone likes the Colts in here. I would not think for sure. Locks. Dameon Pierce, Kenyon Green. Will they both be on the list of locks? It is the Locker Room, number one source for Texans digital content. I'm trying to send this tweet to Seth, telling him that I won this race, but it's kind of it's showing up on my YouTube app, but it's not showing up. Oh, there we go. Look at that. 10K. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna send this out. Who do y'all think? Do you think Kenyon Green should be a lock to make the squad? Yay or nay? One of these guys is, not both. One of them is. I have 34 locks to make the roster, and again, this would bet your life on it. Not like stranger things have happened than Desmond King, Steven Sims, Robert Woods not making the team. If you want me to fill out a 53, I could fill out a 53. I would rather wait. But these are the locks, in my opinion, and there's 34 of them that I would bet on making this team. Don't like the Titans owner. I don't like Amy Adams Stank either. At all. Not a big fan. Here are the locks, though. Would 100% bet on them making the team. Quarterback, CJ Stroud, and I would say Davis Mills, but I put a question mark there. I'm not even counting him in the 34. He's been by far the second best quarterback. He's always polarizing. Some people wonder, is he going to be on the roster? I don't know how much Case Keenum has left in the tank. I know they trusted him last year against the Titans. You saw the Browns game where Davis Mills was clearly the better guy. And it was blatantly obvious Case couldn't get away from pressure. Eventually, Father Time catches up. Maybe they're all on the roster, but Davis Mills is by far the second. But the only lock, 100%, that I will put on there is CJ Stroud. So that's one. Running backs, I'm going to say Mixon and Pierce. Dameon Pierce is a lock, and there's a couple of reasons why. First of all, they haven't done a very good job of even giving him legitimate competition to be RB2. We'll see what Cam Akers looks like. I anticipate Cam Akers gets some action in the Hall of Fame game a week from tonight. I anticipate that happens. By the way, post-game show immediately at the conclusion. Sometimes we might even go with 5 minutes left, and we'll go an hour and a half, whatever. We'll hear from D'Amico. We'll hear from CJ. Post-game shows get crazy. I think we got 1,300 deep during a post-game show last year, and that was before we got to 10K. But Joe Mixon, he's on the team. Dameon Pierce is on the team. He's in special teams drills. So you look at Dare Gumbawale and you assume, okay, he's on the team because he's doing special teams. Dameon Pierce is doing it too. Dameon Pierce has done punt coverage. He's done kick return. He's done kick coverage. Dameon Pierce could end up being, like, if someone does push Dameon Pierce, he could be the guy that you look at and say, okay, he's on the team because of special teams. And I don't mind that at all. Every time I see Dare Gumbawale back there in the backfield, God bless him. Respect to him for having a NFL career for the better part of a decade. God bless him for that. But I don't think anyone feels comfortable when Dare Gumbawale is back there playing meaningful snaps. There were times last year where they were lining him up in the slot. I mean, that just should not happen. That cannot happen. But Mixon and Pierce locks. Fullback, none. I don't know what they're going to do at fullback. Is Andrew Beck? Got to think he's kind of close to getting back on the field. He's been ramping up forever, it seems like. Hairston moving around pretty well. Do they like him enough to keep him? Keen, I don't think there's any locks at fullback right now. Like, I wouldn't bet my life on any of them. Wide receiver, Diggs, Collins, Dell, and Brown. Is John Mechie a lock to make this roster? I don't know. I mean, does he get the Brevin Jordan treatment? We heard Caserio compare Kenyon Green to Brevin Jordan. Could John Mechie be like Brevin Jordan, where you think it's a crucial camp and you think it's make or break, you think it's put up or shut up, but then all of a sudden he gets hurt and you still keep him on the roster and he rewards your faith in him? Maybe that could happen. I mean, he's got Skoranek with him. He's got Robert Woods. Steven Sims is out there. He seems to be one of the top options when it comes to the return game. So is John Mechie a lock? I would think that he makes this team, but it's a pretty crowded wide receiver group. And I don't know if they're going to look at the fact that Brevin Jordan's covering kicks as like, oh, well, maybe we don't need this guy too. I don't know, because John Mechie's not playing special teams. And you have a really good wide receiver room. So he is not on my locks. My locks at wide receiver are Diggs, Collins, Dell, and Brown. So we have 4 there. Noah Brown's playing special teams too, even he's playing special teams. Would I bet on Mechie making the team? Probably. Would I bet my life on it? Probably not. And that's what we're talking about, locks. Like, what is John Mechie's trade value? That would be my question. What's the trade value for John Mechie? That would be my question. Don't know. I don't know if he's a great player. I don't know about that. Great. If we all feel that way about Dare, then why the hell is he wasting a roster spot? Caserio favors scheme over talent. That spot could go to a 4-3 RB that can act as a return to. I don't know. He's really good on special teams, I guess. For sure. The locksmith, we'll see what we can do there. Where do you think Stroud is falling in the top 100? I think he's going to be I think he'll be in the top 30. I think he'll be in the 20s for sure. I could see them putting Stroud like 21, 22 in the top 100. I think it'll be up there for sure. They usually try to hype up and gas up quarterbacks on that list. Continuing the locks. And again, lock 100% bet on them making the team. Would I bet on Mechie? Yes. Would I bet my entire life savings? No. Tight end, there's 3. Schultz is on the team. Duh. Brevin Jordan's on the team. Not only is he a guy who CJ seems to get more and more involved in the offense, he's also covering kicks, so he's on. Stover's a rookie. He's on. Don't know what happens with Beck. We haven't seen him. How much do they love him? Like, is Andrew Beck, do you like him so much that you don't need to see anything from him? Do you like Stover and Quitoriano enough to where perhaps those guys are fullbacks? I don't know. So the tight end thing will be really, really interesting to see. Quitoriano's also been getting some special teams drills in as well. But the tight end, the 3 locks, I know that it's kind of a running bit in here about me riding the Quitoriano, driving the bus, the bandwagon. Don't know if he makes the squad or not. But Schultz, Jordan, Stover, 100% locks. Would bet my life on that. Yeah, no TQ. I gotta be real. You could have Beck. Yeah, he could be your fullback. So I could very easily see that. I just don't know. I want to see what they think of that. Crazier things have happened. Offensive line: Tunsil, Howard, Fisher, Scruggs, Mason. They're all in. They're all 100% in. Kenyon Green, I would bet on. But stranger things have happened. Kendrick Green, Jared Patterson. You have a lot of guys on the offensive line. I would, if you just asked me to bet, I think Patterson's probably your backup center. You have Kendrick Green. I would think that he probably makes the squad. And then I think Kenyon Green does, but 100% locks, no questions asked. That's what we got. And then there's a lot of competition. D-line. This one's interesting because there's a lot of bodies on the D-line for sure. I would say that on the D-line, I would go Anderson, Hunter, Danico Autry, Fatukasi. Those would be my 100% locks. I don't watch interior defensive linemen as much as D'Amico Ryans. Furthermore, D'Amico Ryans might be looking for something completely different than me. On the surface, it looked like Malik Collins was a great player. You hear some people say maybe he didn't like the discipline, the gap discipline, all that. Same thing with Jonathan Grenard. Maybe they didn't like that very much either. I don't know. I think Settles look pretty good. I think Khalil Davis has looked pretty good. Edwards has really, really turned some heads. He's starting to get a hell of a lot of hype. And then you have Heinisch. I don't know. I would think that for sure Settle and then Davis and I don't know. Those are just the locks. I don't know. Coaches look for different stuff than I. Linebacker. And again, this isn't a 53 projection. This is, I would bet my life on these guys making the team. Christian Harris, we haven't seen him in practice. We don't need to. Christian Harris is definitely on the roster. We all know that. Aziz Al-Shair, he's on the roster. We all know that. Henry Toto, he's on first team, every single special team. He looks like he's kind of trimmed up. I'm pretty confident in that. Hansen, they like, man. They like Hansen. And I like Hansen too. I think he's one of your special teams aces. He's there. And I think the same is true for Neville Hewitt. So you have 5 linebackers that are locks. Jalen Phillips, I don't know. I don't know what they're looking for, what they like, all that. I feel like Frank Ross kind of has the special teams guys that he likes, that he trusts. So I don't know where those guys fall in. Safety. Jimmy Ward here, Bullock here, Petrie, MJ Stewart. God, they love him, and he's really good on special teams. And then Eric Murray. Eric Murray is a really, really good backup safety. So I think 5 safeties I would bet on. Cornerback, Derek Stingley, Lassiter, Okuda. That's all I got. It could go a number of ways. Do I think Des King makes this squad? Yes. Did I think Des King was going to make the squad last year? Yes. He didn't. So, and if last year had never happened and they didn't end up bringing him back, in fairness, but if last year had never happened, I would have Des King on the roster, on the locks, but he did not make the squad last year. So maybe a little bit of PTSD. I'm not putting him there. So I got Stingley, Lassiter, Okuda, and then special teams, John Weeks. Although I think he kind of nicked his hand up the other day. He'll be okay. It wasn't like anything serious, just a little football scratch. And then Kaimi Fairbairn and Tommy Townsend. So those would be my 3 there. So those are my 34 locks. Did I miss anything? Don't know. There's just going to be a lot of competition. Also, they're really good at bringing guys in out of nowhere. So when I don't put a guy like Desmond King or Settle automatically in, it's because I trust the scouting department and I trust them to find guys like that. You could have probably put Derek Barnett on the D-line too. I think Derek Barnett is probably a lock. You could probably stick him on there. I like him a lot. I was actually glad that they brought him back. Jerry Hughes, I don't know. Maybe that's your guess is as good as mine there. We'll see how that goes. That there's a lot of depth, man. I mean, you look at the depth on this squad, you look at the young talent on this squad, there's a hell of a lot of it. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how it all goes down when practice resumes tomorrow. And then we get the game. We're going to be less than a week away. So we're 1 week in, 1 week out, 1 week into camp, 1 week out. Are you more concerned? Rich Boy Jay wants to he wants to get ahead of ourselves. He wants to get to the regular season. Are you more concerned about the Colts or the Jags this year? The Colts. I think the Colts are good. I think the Colts are really, really good. I think that I think Indianapolis is better than they were last year. I think they've added some pretty scary pieces. I don't think they were as healthy last year. I know the Texans' offensive line was nicked up, and they weren't completely healthy either, and Tank Dell as well. But I think the Colts are good. I also think they have a really, really good coach. I don't think Shane Steichen got the credit that he deserved. The Jags front seven kind of scares me too. And both of those teams could have very easily won the division last year. A couple of crazy things happened to them in Week 18. If things go their way, either one of them could have won it. And I think I don't know if the Jags are better, I guess, but I do believe the Colts are. And Trevor Lawrence is probably going to be healthier. As much as I make fun of him on here, he was pretty banged up last year. I think that's kind of easy to see. HK, how you been, my man? You would think that Lonnie is a lock just because holding back CJ. Yeah, maybe Lonnie, if he doesn't make the team, he can be on security. Lonnie's in a weird spot, man, because this is a team where you have a lot of safeties that are really, really good at special teams that they like. And MJ Stewart and Eric Murray, like they like those guys a lot. And they're moving Petrie more and more around. Who knows if they decide to get in this Simmons mix? I would think not. But the fact that they're moving Petrie around leaves it open. And that's why in the offseason I was saying, like, if the Texans bring in a safety or if they draft a safety, which they did, Kalen Bullock, that doesn't mean that, you're giving up on Petrie. And look, I don't think Kalen Bullock should stop you from bringing in Simmons for a year or something like that if they feel like that's a need. I think Bullock probably needs some development. Beck is a good player. We need him. I'm a big Beck guy. I like Andrew Beck. I would say though that the Beck situation is interesting because a lot of guys who are kind of film nerds that study tape a lot and stuff, they don't think he blocks as well as perhaps the Texans do. Mr. 713 Ruben hit me up on the text line. I think he's been at 10 for a minute. I think, I'm not sure. But yeah, he's a good dude. I'm gonna see if he wants to hop in and see what's going on. 713 Sports 713 Hugh. Man, this is riveting. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm just kind of showing you. I'm going to send him the link. I'll bet you he is gassed up right now. Yeah, he said where at. He thinks I'm telling him to go out. The chat. So tomorrow, I anticipate a light day. Any word on Mixon? Nothing. I haven't even seen him really since he's been out, so that means he might be inside getting some work done. He could have slipped past me. Christian Harris is on the field now. He's not working out on the side yet or anything. And that's typically when you see guys. He's at Deadpool. Did Deadpool come out today or something like that? Like, is that thing? I see a lot of people talking about Deadpool. No idea. Do you think they trade for someone? Maybe. I don't know who, what, when, where, or how. But yeah, Deadpool. I guess that's a big deal. Wouldn't know. No offense. I've heard it's funny though. Maybe I need to catch up. Maybe I need to get hip to it. So we'll see how that goes. But Mixon, no word. Tunsil, he's working out. I mean, he's working out. It's not like Tunsil's just hobbling around. I mean, he's working out. He's pushing the sled. He's getting some work in. Beck looks like he's kind of close. He seems like he's kind of foaming at the mouth to get back there, and they have him pretty well ramped up. Is there anyone I'm missing that's not in practice right now? No, I don't think I missed anyone. Appreciate everyone for coming through. 140 deep on an off day. The night stream, that's usually the place to be during the season. During camp, it's a little bit interesting because you have the stream after practice. Appreciate everyone who's been here since the beginning, and appreciate everyone for coming through. Landry sounds like he's ending the live every 5 minutes. That's not always the case. It's just the case today. It's an off day. There's not a ton. There's really not as much to get into today. But yeah, it's usually an hour. It's not as much today. There was no practice. Y'all know what's going on right now. There's no practice. So appreciate y'all for coming through for real. This has been another edition of the Locker Room, the night version. Be sure to subscribe, like, ride along. I got you covered. Weeks is going to hop in, I would say, probably before the Pittsburgh game. I talked to him. He said he's in probably before the Pittsburgh game. Got some other guys that are going to come through, some big surprises as well. So be sure to subscribe, like, ride along. Always remember, whether it's 10K, whether it's 1K, whether it's 0, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming through. Appreciate you. Live practice report tomorrow, probably around 1 o'clock, depending on when they end. They've been in around 10:40. Got you covered. As always, we're all in this together. Appreciate you for coming through.
Opinions to give, we got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up. We number one. You don't need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize, every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too.